Please.
Good afternoon.
Take a seat, Shipra. Shipra, for the benefit of the panel, can you give a brief introduction, please?
Yes, sir. So my name is Shipra Choudhary. I was born in Mainpuri district of Uttar Pradesh, and after 2 to 3 years or so, we shifted to Mumbai in Maharashtra, in the Mumbai suburban, particularly the Palghar district of Maharashtra, wherein I've completed my entire schooling and education. I graduated in 2019 in the subjects of zoology and environmental sciences from Mumbai University. And since then, I've been preparing for civil services only. I do not, as such, have some work experience. This is my third attempt in UPSC and my first interview.
First.
I see that you won a first prize in essay writing, CVC. What was the topic there?
Sir, it was my vision of corruption-free India.
Okay. So, CVC was set up on the recommendation of which committee? Are you aware?
Yes, sir. So, it was set up in 1964 on the recommendations of Santhanam Committee.
Very good. Now, tell me something. Your father works in the Bank of Baroda?
Yes, sir.
In which capacity?
Sir, he's posted as the senior manager in the Nariman Point branch in Mumbai.
Okay, so you would be familiar with the fact that our banking system was racked by a series of scams. The Vijay Mallya scam, the Nirav Modi scam, so many scams. Now, let's focus on the Nirav Modi scam. How did it take place? What was the mode of operation of Nirav Modi? Are you aware?
Yes, sir. Sir, there was letter of credit that was extensively granted for a few years that allowed for a lot of credit to be passed on into the foreign branch of PNB, and that is how it continued, sir, until it became a huge NPA.
That letter of credit was actually known by some other name. Are you aware? Letter of undertaking. Similarly, there was a very big scam in West Bengal, which was related to Ponzi schemes. 2 or 3 scams. Are you aware of those?
Sir, not about the Bengal incident in specific, but yes, sir, there are many Ponzi scheme scams that do take place. So that I am aware of.
So how does a Ponzi scheme operate?
So in a Ponzi scheme, if it is unregistered, it is quite vulnerable to collapses in the way that the initial depositors tend to lure the upcoming depositors to deposit a large amount of money in exchange of some utilities or some attractive investment returns that they could get, until and unless it becomes a huge cycle which becomes unsustainable. So that is how the collapse takes place, sir.
Environmental sciences. So could you tell me something about biodiversity hotspots?
Yes, sir. So, biodiversity hotspots are the hotspots globally in which there are 2 main criteria. First is this, that it should have at least 1500 species which are vascular and endemic in nature. The second criteria is this, that at least 70% of the species must be threatened with extinction.
How many biodiversity hotspots in the world?
There are 36 biodiversity hotspots.
Thank you, Shipra.
Thanks, sir.
Okay. Shipra, what is the meaning of Mainpuri?
Mainpuri, sir. Sir, as such, that I'm aware of, there's no literal meaning of the word.
Where does this name come from?
So I think I will have to look into it. As of now,
And Palghar?
Sir, Palghar, because it lies in the Western Ghats, I believe that the Palakkad gap, because of the Palakkad gap, but I think I will have to reconfirm it.
Okay, who was Bhaskar Vaman Thakur?
Sir, he was the institute that was set up by him was actually by his son, who is a prominent MLA in the region. So,
Okay. Now, you have interest in Vipassana.
yes, sir.
So, what was the main contribution of Lord Buddha to meditation? What was his main observation?
Yes. Sir, it was through his practice of meditation in Vipassana that he was able to carry out the Four Noble Truths and convey it to the worlds.
No, he had a very practical observation which he made.
Yes.
Something to do with breath and thoughts. Are you aware?
So, can I take a guess?
Yes.
So, it was through the Anapan meditation, the incoming and the outgoing of breath, of how the breath takes place in contrast with the mindfulness meditation. So, instead of counting on the breaths, the practice of Vipassana focuses upon how the breath comes in and goes out, and that helps in establishing the reality of the world, in seeing the things as they are.
Basic point of Vipassana Anapan is that you cannot think and breathe at the same time.
Yes, sir.
If you focus on breath, the thought will go away.
Yes, sir.
So that's what they do. You keep focusing on your breath. So thoughts which come from previous births or from wherever, they come and they die.
Yes, sir.
So that's how your karmas also gradually can be eliminated.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well, past karmas can come now only as a thought to you.
Yes, sir.
You know, prarabdha jo hai, it's just a thought. So
Yes.
if you are focusing on the breath, that thought will come and it will die.
Yes, sir.
So that's where the whole thing, right?
Okay, sir.
You
Thank
cannot
you,
do both things together.
Okay.
That's what Vipassana says.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Anyway, acha, can you passed out from school in which year?
In 2013, sir.
Okay. So can you mention two major structural economic changes after that, which have made a difference in your life?
Yes, sir. So, structural economic changes.
Structural means caused by the government.
Yes, sir. So, one I can say is the demonetization exercise that had
Well,
taken
that has
place.
not affected you personally. Out of school, how much money you must have had?
Yes, sir. So, I think there was zero balance accounts that were initiated in 2014, and through that I had opened up a zero balance account while I entered college.
Think bigger, come on.
So I think I'm able to name the major exercises like demonetization, and there was GST as well. That
How
was,
do you make your payments these days?
so it was through UPI. UPI payments have been a turn.
So has it made a difference in your life?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
What percentage of payments today are being made through UPI?
So I'm not aware of the exact volume, but it has increased primarily after 2017. That.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Second,
So the wallet system is second.
okay, if you buy something in Mumbai or you have come to Delhi, you buy something in Delhi, is the price the same?
So it does change depending
Does
upon.
it change?
Yes, sir.
No, it's the same everywhere. Some little difference of rate may be there, but the product which you buy, the price written on it is what?
So the MRP remains the same, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So why?
So I think I will have to read upon it.
Something has happened in the taxation system.
Yes, sir. The GST was introduced, through which it was made seamless across the country, due to which the taxes and the entire MRP does not change or fluctuate from region to region, sir. Yes, sir.
The tax is the same. All over the country, the tax is the same.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes,
So that has made a huge difference. Earlier, to start selling in a particular state, you need to have a sale tax number of that state.
Yes, sir.
Now you don't need sale tax number anywhere.
Yes, sir.
Right? So you can get the same thing anywhere at similar kind of price.
Yes,
Anyway. Okay. Can you name any bank which merged into Bank of Baroda?
yes, sir. So there were two banks, Vijaya Bank, Dena Bank, that got merged in Bank of Baroda.
Okay. My last question. You're telling about economic structural changes. Can you tell two social structural changes?
social
which
structure.
have happened in recent years?
Yes, sir. So one I can say is the decriminalization of homosexuality. That is
Yes,
one.
very good.
Second, sir, although not affecting me personally, but as such a big social structural change is the Triple Talaq Act that was brought about.
Yes, definitely that has made
And
difference.
the entry of women in temples like Shani Shingnapur temple,
Okay, yes.
and others, Shabrimala temple.
Very good,
as well.
very good. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, Shipra, you come from Palghar, Maharashtra, right? Your optional is anthropology. So please tell us what is so peculiar about Palghar from anthropological perspective.
Ma'am, Palghar is predominantly a tribal district inhabited by fishermen, by the fisher folk community. So that forms the entire, or that puts an anthropological focus in the district, ma'am. We have primarily the Koli fishermen there.
Okay. Shipra, again, you are an anthropology student. How Indian anthropologists have contributed in the discipline of anthropology?
In various ways, ma'am. In a way that it has also impacted the global scenario in anthropology. For instance, we have, I'm unable to recall, Iravati Karve, ma'am, who gave the definition of marriage, which was quite updated and is followed even today. Second is that she studied various communities, matriarchal communities in South India, like the Nambudiri Brahmins and.
Okay, one is the new idea in the marriage system. Another concept which Indian anthropologists have given up.
Ma'am, in the Indian context, for instance, we have LP Vidyarthi sir, who gave the concepts of Sanskritization and Westernization and modernization.
Did he give the concept of Sanskritization?
Yes, ma'am. LP Vidyarthi sir. But I think I'll read.
What about M.S. Srinivas then?
M.N. Srinivas sir, sorry ma'am. M.N. Srinivas sir gave the concept of Sanskritization, and LP Vidyarthi sir gave the concept of nature-man-spirit complex.
Okay. Now then you have mentioned Sanskritization. There is a reverse concept, desanskritization, right? So in Indian politics, can you give one example of desanskritization?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, desanskritization in the Indian context has been inclined towards pseudo-tribalism. A prominent example being where there are certain communities demanding reservation on the basis that they have been socio-economically backward. So that
You can quote some example, that's what I am asking.
the Maratha community, the Gurjar community, the Patel agitation.
Okay. In BSc, you had zoology as your optional. So recently, do you know a new virus have cropped in Africa? Someone very similar to Ebola virus. Do you know the name, that virus?
Ma'am, I think I must have read it, but I'm not able to read.
Okay, doesn't matter. Why, Shipra, does monkeys and bats are such an easy carrier of virus?
Ma'am, specifically for bats, it is because the habitat of bats is in cohabitation because they mostly live on trees, so that is one. And physiologically, their temperatures are quite high in the way that they do not get personally affected, but are able to carry the virus for a very long period of time, and hence are able to spread the virus to the human colonies. So that is there. Monkeys, ma'am, are also quite prominent, but I think I'll have to analyze on why it has been.
Okay, Shipra. Shipra, you must be hearing that recently we are relocating cheetahs. Crores of rupees have been spent on this relocation. So what is the utility of cheetah? Why they are being relocated?
Ma'am, it is being primarily done so that in the Indian subcontinent, we have cheetahs that can get proliferated because the Indian cheetah had gotten extinct.
So that we understand. From zoological perspective, what is the reason? What is the utility?
Ma'am, at the global level or at an international level, we see that the Asiatic cheetah is concentrated only in a few parts, like in countries like Iran, etc. So, if the numbers diminish in one part of the subcontinent, it would become extinct.
Okay, Shipra, link it with food chain. I am giving you a hint. Now tell.
Ma'am, because cheetah is a top level carnivore, so it would help in keeping the prey species in check, and also balancing the entire ecosystem.
Okay, okay. In your hobbies, you have written Vipassana meditation, right? And you were having an interaction also on that. Now, tell me one thing, during meditation, for that matter, in Vipassana also, we close our eyes. What could be the reason? Because in some form of meditation, we open and chant, right? So in Vipassana, we close our eyes. What is the reason?
Ma'am, I believe that there are multiple reasons of why closing our eyes during meditation will become helpful. One, I think, is because since we are not observing something or seeing something, that sensation is lost. So there is a higher probability that we would focus even more as compared to when we keep our eyes open. So that sensation will be focused, ma'am. Second, I believe it could be because it could bring a sense of calm. And third is because most forms of meditation begin with observing breath.
Okay, one last question. Do you think you are interested in self-help articles? Do you think self-help is a trap?
Ma'am, I think it could become if one is not conscious, or if they believe in everything that they read, then it could become a trap, ma'am.
Okay, just a supplementary question. Difference between self-help and self-improvement books?
Okay. Ma'am, I believe that they would be the same.
No, nomenclature is different. They can't be same.
Ma'am, then I think I'll have to read up on.
Over to ma'am.
Okay, Shipra, I'll take you somewhere else. What is happening, around our neighborhood, etc. India, you know about BIMSTEC and India's approach to BIMSTEC, Act East policy. Something, can you tell me about that?
Ma'am, BIMSTEC was established in the year 1997, and India was a prominent member. It started with the members surrounding India, and the focus was on the Bay of Bengal region. In the recent years, it has grown in prominence as an alternative to SAARC to revive the South Asian bonds that we have. And it is also important to India because it can engage.
Pakistan is out of it.
Yes, ma'am. It is in prominence to India primarily also because of this reason, that it can engage with most of South Asian nations and carry out.
And Southeast, Thailand.
Southeast, ma'am. Without the involvement of Pakistan, which was acting as an hindrance in SAARC. So, the Bay of Bengal initiative for multi-sectoral and technical cooperation.
And economic. What about the Act East policy? What is India's Act East policy? What do you know about that?
Ma'am, India's Act East policy is this. We have shifted from the Look East policy to the Act East policy in the recent years because we realized that there is a lot of potential within the ASEAN and the Southeast Asian region, and also there is revamped focus to counter China on that front, because a lot of Southeast Asian nations have their disputes with China in the South China Sea.
So how will our Act East policy counter that?
So, ma'am, with greater engagement with Southeast Asian nations with proper connectivity, like we have the India-Myanmar-Thailand highway that we are trying to build. So, through these initiatives, we are trying to revamp our connectivity, our people-to-people ties, and also trade focus.
And for development of our Northeast.
Yes.
That's also one of the reasons for the Act East policy, and like a gateway into Southeast Asia and and other parts of Asia to connect. So that's one of our major sort of reasons. What is our fear, or should I say, of China and China's activities around India and around in the BIMSTEC region, and what are the measures that have been taken to counter all this?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. The challenges that China poses are many. One is that it has global ambitions, it has territorial ambitions, in which it is trying to incurse or invade into India and take away the territorial spaces of India. That is one. Second is that it is also constructing its projects through the Indian territory, which affects its sovereignty. Like we have the sea. Ma'am, it is with Pakistan, it is trying to build upon the China-Pakistan economic corridor in the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir region. So that is second, ma'am. Third is that there are also surveillance issues that Chinese apps or Chinese technology poses. like we had the TikTok ban, and there was also 5G technology.
But what about I'm talking about the geographical aspect. How is it impacting? How is China's activities impacting India, India's security and general security, maritime security?
Ma'am, I think it does impact in the way that in the Indo-Pacific region or in the Indian Ocean region, because it is carrying out its projects in Sri Lanka. There are many port projects, revival projects like the Hambantota port, which has been taken away from India and then given to China. So in that respect, there are a lot of projects given away to China, and also in the African countries, although I'm not able to recollect the project as of now in the African part.
No, but what I'm saying is, what is India doing to meet this challenge or counter this challenge? What has happened in recent years?
Ma'am, we have taken the Sagarmala project to increase the surveillance in the southern belt. That is one, through which we are upgrading our port infrastructure. Second is that indigenization of defense equipments is also something that we are doing. The Atmanirbharta in defense manufacturing. So that is second, ma'am.
You haven't heard of Quad?
Yes, ma'am, the Quad as well, in which we are aligning with like-minded nations, like you. Yes, ma'am. It is the US, India, Japan, and yes, ma'am. There's one more country, Australia. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Shipra, your father is from banking system. So what changes, what major threats you see in the banking system, global banking system right now?
In the global banking system, sir, we see that there is this contagion effect that takes place, which can impact India as well, like it did in the 2008 financial crisis and the recession that had taken place. Although because our capital convertibility was not entirely done, it did not impact India much, but it could do in the recent years. Second, I feel in the Indian banking system in specific, I see that NPA consolidation or NPA reduction is one of the priorities. And third is that we are looking towards privatization of banking system so that more efficiency could be brought about.
So have you heard of the term called too big to fail? So do you think that recently what is happening in case of Adani, can you categorize in that regard?
So I think that merging of PSBs, public sector banks, is taking place, which gives rise to the speculation that we might create certain banks which are too big to fail. But in my opinion, sir, I think it would provide a better cushion or a better shock absorption capacity if there are larger banks with greater technological interface, with greater services, and also better NPA consolidation can be taking place through better management and infrastructural updation.
So that was a completely different context. Too big to fail is related to the any institution that can pose threat to the whole system.
Okay, sir. So I mistook it as in the.
So in case if one organization fails, it can impact the other systems across the sectors.
Yes.
So that was you can work out on that. So apart from that, your education background has been completely from the science, and your optional subject also seems that. So how do you tackle the administrative or political policy related challenges that you're going to come up in your career, given your interests are from science background?
So I think my interest in science background will help to a certain extent in administration. For instance, in the health or medical department, that might help. Apart from it, my learnings in or about administration has started through the civil services journey by itself, and also anthropology as a discipline provided me the good mix of science as well as humanities on how societies work and how an anthropological approach must be applied, for instance, to tribal societies and even to society at large. So in that respect, it might help, sir.
So how do you apply anthropological concepts in terms of in the areas of policies? making policies? Can you take some one or two examples?
So, for instance, if there is a project that has to be carried out in a tribal land, and there is rehabilitation and resettlement that has to be done, then I think having a tribal approach and bureaucratic empathy would help in that regard. Providing proper compensations and providing an alternative land which is irrigable, at the same time doing proper rehabilitation in terms of their livelihoods. So all of these efforts can help through the background of anthropology.
So, can you talk about your order of preferences, cadre preferences?
So my first preference that I've given is the state of Uttar Pradesh, and the second has been Rajasthan. Yes, sir. Third is Madhya Pradesh, sir, and so on.
Okay, sir.
Right, that brings us to the close. Best of luck.
Best of luck.
Thank you.